This is the 8.1 exit ticket, where we went over exploring graphs of quadratic equations. Number 1, a quadratic function is shown partially in the table below. The vertex of this function is 3, -8. Fill in the missing values in the table. At 0, this should have been at 10. At 4, this should have been at -6. At 5, it should be at 0, and at 7, it should be 24. Now remember, the way that we get this is because we know the vertex is at 3, -8, all of the points on either side of the vertex need to be equal distance. So because 3 and 2, okay, are 2 apart here, from -8 to 3, we can add 2. You would do the same thing on the other side. Okay, same thing for the next point. From -6 to 0, we added 6. So you would do the same on this side. Okay, you would add 6. Okay, and then from here, right, we can see from 0 to 10, we add 10. So it would be the same over there. And then here from 10 to 24, we would add 14, and same thing here. So you just want to make sure that these are completely identical on either side in terms of the distance between the vertex and those next points. Okay, state the x-intercepts of the function. Explain how you arrived at your answer. Remember that x-intercepts, okay, that's where your line is crossing the x-axis. So that's always where y equals 0. Okay, think about where you're crossing the x-axis, y is always going to be 0. So if we look at our graph, okay, we're trying to see where the output is 0, okay, and those points would be here and here. So those two coordinate points would be 1, 0 and 5, 0. Okay, is the vertex a maximum or minimum? Explain how you arrived at your answer. So we know the vertex, it tells us, is 3, -8. If you look at all of the y values around there, okay, all of the y values are higher. -8 is the lowest y value. All the rest go up. So we're probably around, we're at 3, right? So at 3, we're at -8, and then we successively get bigger from here. So this graph probably looks something like this, really rough sketch, but we know that -8 is the lowest y value, so that means that this vertex is a minimum. It's the lowest point on the graph. All right, number 2. Okay, so we graphed the function. I graphed this one for you, so you wouldn't have to do it, but this is the function y equals -2x squared plus 4x plus 6. The first question is to state the equation of the axis of symmetry. So if we look at this graph, you can see that the vertex is right here at the top. And if we draw a line through the vertex, okay, you can see through it's going where x is 1. I know that's not labeled, but you can see it's right between 0 and 2. So remember, a vertical line is always x equals 1. We're going through that x value of 1. Okay, second, state the x-intercepts. So remember, x-intercepts are where your line is crossing the x-axis. So that's this axis. So we're crossing here and here. Okay, so the x-intercepts are the points -1, 0. That's right there. Okay, and 3, 0. Right there. Okay, next one, state the vertex. State the vertex. So the vertex would be either the highest or the lowest point in the graph. So up here, the vertex is right there. Okay, and that coordinate point is 1, 8. Right there, 1, 8. State the range of the function. State the range of the function. So here, okay, the range, remember range is your lowest y to your highest y. Now, since we have a maximum here, okay, our highest y is going to be at that vertex. So the highest y is at 8, okay? But you can see this graph extends below where we can see. It keeps going on forever and ever and ever in the negative y direction. So our lowest y will never actually reach, so that's at -infinity. Okay, you could also write this for your range that y would always be less than or equal to 8. It's never going to go above 8. Okay, and then last question, over what interval is the function increasing? So remember, we always describe intervals by the x value. So between what x values, is this function increasing? So looking at our graph, we can see that it's going up here and then it stops at that vertex, okay? So this is the only part where it's going up. So in terms of the x values, okay, all of these x values until we get to that line of symmetry, okay, are gonna work. So all the negative x values, all the way from negative infinity, all the way up until 1, okay? Now remember, at the vertex, it's a changing point, so it's not increasing anymore, okay? So some other ways you could have written this are negative infinity is less than x is less than 1. That's what those parentheses mean, all right? Or we could just say any value where x is less than 1. Okay, it's increasing. All right, how do you feel about this exit ticket? Do you have any additional questions? Rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 4.